bank we're gonna cut here because the wind's moving. I'm gonna drop down. I'm gonna be right in there. I don't got him zoomed up. Hold up. Hold up, Tim. Hold up. What? Not yet. I don't have him. Alright, I got him. I don't think so. I think I hit him right behind the shoulder, so I'm just gonna look for my arrow. It's somewhere around here. Yeah, here it is. Some air bubbles, lost a vein, but good blood all the way through. Broadhead did its job there, lost a wing. All right, so we found the arrow, good blood. He's not bleeding really heavy right now, but we're just gonna track the little bit of blood that we have, and hopefully the blood trail gets bigger. I know I hit him good, so we're just gonna stay on him and follow his tracks. Foam, it's lung blood. It's got air bubbles in it. You see it on the ground, it's lung blood. I'm aiming in this area, especially the Javelina tucked up. His lungs are, right up close, so they're pretty far forward. So you want to try to take his leg and aim up this leg and right next to his collar. And so I was just a little bit right, but still in the money zone. It was quick death. Big old boar. Yeah, he died quick, man. Just ran as far as he could and then went down. I center punched him with an expandable broadhead, and you could see he was losing a lot of blood, but they'll take off really quick and they can cover a lot of ground before they ever start bleeding. So you just got to look for little tiny drops of blood, follow it, and then as he started slowing down, more blood came. But in that 10-15 second time, they can run 200 or 300 yards sometimes in that 30-second, 40-second window. So if you feel good with a shot, just keep tracking blood, and he didn't run immediately downhill either. That's kind of something that people always say, which is a lot of times true, but he was hit really hard and he didn't run downhill. He kind of side hilled all the way down, and then as soon as he was basically losing everything, all the blood and everything like that, then he went downhill. But we hardly saw any blood until then. So and he wasn't very far from where I shot him. I shot him probably 150 yards away, but he covered a lot of ground really quick, and it's just a matter of staying with it, staying with the blood trail, and just kind of knowing what they're doing. I was following a little bit of dry track mixed with tiny little specks of blood. And then after about 100, 150 yards, I started seeing, okay, more blood. He's slowing down. He's slowing down and filling up because their chest cavity will fill up with blood, and that may take 10, 20 seconds, and then they'll start getting blood out, and you can really track them. So that's kind of what happened. It's good, quick death. Exactly where I wanted to shoot him. He was in really thick, nasty stuff, so we didn't get the best video of the shot, but he was in a real nasty thicket, so it was awesome. Bow did good, I felt good, and it's all good. Yep, cool. So I'm just gonna cape him out to just get the hide off. I'm not gonna mount him. We have a lot of guys that full body mount these, and so I would do it a lot differently. But if you ever shoot a smaller animal, even a deer, this is a good way to do a setup. Make your own little gambrel. You can hang them up. It's a lot easier to work on things when they're off the ground. You can keep the meat really clean. When you're on the ground, there's a lot of dirt and stuff, so either have a really nice tarp or get him from a tree. So right now I'm just going to gut him and then take the hide off. I'm going to put the whole carcass in a bag, and then I'm going to process him a little bit later. So just going to start here and be real careful not to get the guts. I'm being real careful not to cut this his Achilles, because that's what gives him all the strength to hang off of. So I personally don't debone meat, because I always like to hang it and have the ability to hang it. Even a stinky Javelina, I don't like to debone right away. Take it up the claw. This is just a Knives of Alaska little cub. They call it the cub bear. Havalons are really awesome for this kind of stuff. Really, any small caping knife is good to do fine work. One nice thing when you shoot him in the shoulder or shoot him in the long, you don't have to deal with any guts on the meat. So that's always a good thing. He was pretty much perfectly broadside to me, so it didn't go too far deep in the guts or anything like that. So I'm just gonna kind of cut his hide in half here. And then just kind of work him down. Everybody always talks about the Javelina scent gland, and how you have to be so careful about it. And the number one thing I hear is, oh, is their meat bad? How about that scent gland? With a Javelina, just skin him like you would a normal animal. And I'm going to show you the scent gland here very soon. If you skin him just like a deer or elk or anything like that, you never ever have to worry about a scent gland. There's no fancy cutting. There's nothing you really have to worry about. You got to kind of know where it is. And it's right here on the back. So on their hide, this is the scent gland right here. But it's on the hide. There's no, I'm not doing anything normal or anything out of the ordinary that I wouldn't do normally when I cut and I cape an animal. So it's a big misconception about the Javelina that they have this crazy scent gland that it just explodes or something like that. It's just right here. Just skin him like you normally would and take the hide off and you're fine. There's no trick about it. There's just a lot of mystery behind it. So And when you skin 50 of these, you really, it's not any different, or no tricks. So I don't think you want to stab that necessarily. You got to be careful. But I don't ever think about how I'm gonna skin a javelina because of their scent gland. I just do it the way I normally do it and get the hide off. So I always have my fingers kind of hidden. I'm always kind of grabbing. When you grab hide, you don't want to grab it with your fingers showing. Always kind of grab it, you know, and clutch them in case you do get something. It's just gonna kind of go in to nick off the top. If you got a finger hanging out, you know, or a thumb, always hide your digits. You know, I've done these a lot. I've cut myself a handful of times, and if I can keep a little bit of hide between my knife, like even like that, try to keep hide between my knife and my hand when I'm skinning, it's always the best thing to do. So, or just stay away from it if you can. This is the best way to, when you hang an animal, you can really get the most meat off of them this way. When you're on the ground, undoubtedly, and you're trying to skin it out, and sometimes you have to. You can't drag a javelina everywhere, or sometimes you don't have the trees to hang it up because they live in cactus country. You know, it's when you're on the ground doing it, sometimes meat gets dirty, and then you know, have to leave some of the ribs or something like that. So if you can, try to keep as much of this stuff in the air, deer or javelina. Like I said, I like to keep it on the bone because it's so much easier to work with. Even if you're packing it out for a meat, still leave. I mean, I still like to leave it on the bone. You can do whatever you want. Guys are pretty opinionated about it, but it can just peel a little, the shoulder there. And I'm kind of skinning it. I'm being pretty careful just because it's out of habit, just not to nick a hide. And their hide's really thin. It's just a habit I'm in. You don't have to be this particular with the hide. You can you know, do it however you want to, and just keep the meat nice. And one thing that javelina is nice for is they don't have, their hair is not too invasive. It's really coarse, which makes it really tough on blades. That's one thing that's kind of annoying about it. But compared to like an antelope or even a deer, their hair's nice and coarse. So if you just keep out of it, if you don't cut a whole bunch of it, it'll typically be fine. And you won't have too much problems with it getting on the meat. So, but this is a pretty big boar. This is I would call it like definitely an upper age class boar. They don't get too much bigger than this. Now, when I'm hunting javelina or guiding javelina, we don't typically pay too much attention to like trying to sex the javelina. Usually the boars will hang in the back, and they'll be the ones trying to root around with the females. But you know, when you're hunting them, they're all about the same size, and the tags are not, there's no requirement, no sex requirement on the tags. So yeah, every time I'd like to shoot a boar like this, every single time. But a lot of times I shoot one that's just a good size javelina in a group of 10 or 15, and turns out to be a good sow, a big sow, and she tastes great, and it's all good. Just really, really fun bow hunting. It's a lot of action, and it really deserves a lot of credit for spot and stock hunting. It's really fun. It's a great combination out here too in Arizona because we're always hunting in javelina country, and when the deer aren't cooperating, the javelina hopefully will be. So you always have something fun to chase around and shoot your bow. So see what the latest and greatest broadheads can do that, you know, you buy for the hunt or all that. With these broadheads, I'm not really particular with Javelina. I really like expandables for Javelina because they have such a small wheelhouse that I really like, and they're small. They're pretty narrow, so I'm never worried about penetration with a Javelina or shot placement necessarily. Like, you can shoot them straight head on, you shoot them quartering, you shoot them quartering away, you can shoot them facing away from you. So I really like the more damage the better. So I'll show you what broadhead I was using later on once I get done with this. I really like Rage broadheads. I was using some G5s expandables that I'll show you, and they worked out really well. I mean, they punched a nice hole and left a pretty good blood trail. So that's all that matters. Sometimes when you shoot small broadheads, not to pick on anybody, but like G5 Montex or Slick Tricks or something that flies really good and that's really good on deer, and you know, a good fixed blade, sometimes all you do, I've seen them get hit just a little bit further back with those small ones and nothing happens, and we never find the Javelina. And then, but if you shoot them right here with an expandable, it'll cut in, you know, all different directions, and usually we find them laying there. So that's one thing. I don't like to pick on any broadheads. I think Slick Tricks are great. G5 Montex, if they're sharp, they're awesome. You know, Strikers and Whack'ems and all those, they're all great. The best Javelina setup, in my opinion, is shooting a nice expandable that flies real good, and you can pretty much just shoot them wherever you want, and they'll do a lot of damage. All right, so now I got the hide off. Now I'm gonna take the knees, or the little fore knuckles here. I'm trying to stay as clean as I can. Trouble here. There we go. Okay. Just cutting the knees off. We don't use this. There's no special you know, meat right here. Let's see if I can. Sometimes remember, if you're gonna break something, put your knife down. That's more often than not when I cut myself or nick myself, it's because I have my knife in my hand. I shouldn't have it. So now I'm gonna gut it, take the guts out. Like I said, this is nice because, to my knowledge, I didn't hit any of the guts. And this goes for on the ground or here. If you run it until you feel that sternum, just you can do it with a finger in to kind of protect the underside so you don't nick the guts. You put your finger in there. And then when you feel that sternum, the diaphragm, you know you're there, and you can just get all the guts out here. So you just kind of try to just work them out. You don't have to be too rough with them. Just make a couple small cuts here and there, and it'll usually work with you. So, especially if the animal is pretty fresh, it's nice. It's a lot easier to work on when they're fresh. Biggest thing is cutting the diaphragm, just getting it off the diaphragm, because that's what holds a lot of the internal organs together. So you just got to cut that diaphragm shield without nicking anything crazy. And then I'm just going to go in and get the vitals out of there. Yeah. Okay. The diaphragm's pretty much cut. Okay. So I kind of left this on, and I'm just going to kind of work it. This is danger zone right here. You don't want to touch the stomach. if you get a little bit of you know, feces in there that's already been digested almost and he's about to dump out, that's not as bad as if you bust the whole guts open, because of the digestive properties in the feces and things like that. The stomach is what has a lot of the bacteria that breaks down the meat. So you just want to be careful. These are like the kidneys or whatever. I don't eat these. And what I really like to do is just coagulated blood. I'm gonna take his head off right now. So you make a cut. Just kind of twist them around. These heads are really cool. The Euro mount, I love Euro mounting these heads. They have such a cool skull. When they're all Euroed out. So one thing I like to do is create that hole in the chest cavity to kind of make sure everything is draining out properly. If there's any, like, you know, any like extra little urine or anything like that, you just want to have everything clean. That's pretty much the main deal. So you can see, I didn't shoot him in the gut, so there's not that big of a an issue with having guts. But one of the reasons why you want to keep that cavity nice and open is to wash him out. So if you have a little water, you wash them out. A lot of people are afraid to put water on them, and it's not that big of a deal. Just get it dried off, rinse it, get it dried off. So now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put him in a body bag, or like a full body game bag, and then I'm going to wrap him up, and then I'm going to cut him down. So as soon as I get the hide off it, I tag it, and I just leave it right in here, and it's not going to go anywhere until I process it. I'm not going to accidentally cut this thing off or anything like that. So I got the tag, got it signed, got it wrapped up in a game bag. So what I do now, I have him in a game bag, and I put him in some kind of waterproof bag, just to keep my pack clean. That's really what it's about. So I know I'm going to be at my at the vehicle semi soon. It's not going to sit in the sun like this. It's just to keep my pack clean, and that way I don't have to clean my backpack, which is a pain. We can all exist and utilize the same public space that we enjoy together. So I like to just kind of keep it away, put it in the bushes, and coyotes will have it finished off in seconds probably. But I want to have respect for everyone that uses the land, and the ranchers too. So if somebody walked by or was hiking or bird watching, they wouldn't know this happened, and they don't need to know it happened. They might be offended, and that's okay. All right, time to hike it back to the truck, and we'll see what happens. You never know, we could get into something in the back of or on the way back to the truck, get into a deer or something like that. So.